Welcome back to Fresh Faces, New Ideas. My name is David. If you want to get notified when I put up a new video or when I go live, please like and subscribe to this video. Please follow me on Twitter at FacesIdeas. Now, for this video, we're going to talk about Tom Cotton. Now, I don't talk about Tom Cotton all that often. He's one of the less subtle, terrible people in Congress. The three big ones who were a big threat were Cruz, Cotton, and Hawley. Thankfully, Cruz is an idiot, and everyone hates Ted Cruz. Like, Hawley was wrapped up very much in what happened January 6th. Tom Cotton kind of fell under the radar for that, so he's like a different type of dangerous for the country. Now, Tom Cotton has some terrible ideas. He's written some fascist articles about just dropping the Air Force on people who are protesting. And here he has an idea about the crime wave. Now, let's be clear. The article he is going to quote, I'm just going to show it to you. So here's what's going on. So this is Tom Cotton talking about murder rates dropping, and then and his actual tweet was, "We have a major under-incarceration problem in America." So this article that he links says that yes, crime has gone up, and it is true. Crime went up last year. And the reason for that is not because we under-incarcerate people. It's because we were in a mass pandemic. There was a massive worldwide, but mostly here, protest about civil rights. And once again, we were in a pandemic. So there was a lot of anxiety. The economy collapsed. Now, this other article talks about how this is a different article. This one talks about to the 1990s levels. But first, I want to show you our incarceration rates. So these are the top 10 countries with the highest incarceration rate. We are number one. Yay! We're number one. We're number one. We're above it. El Salvador, Turkmenistan, Thailand, all of these countries. Now, this is per capita. This is per 100,000 people. We jail 639 per 100,000. We're number one in the world by almost 100 people. Tom Cotton wants us to do more. Now, there's a couple of problems with this. One, the prison industry is super profitable. And it's one of those industries similar to Walmart where it goes into an area and it obliterates all of the economy in that area. They undercut a lot of other resources, and basically everyone's just forced to go and work for the prison. The other reason for this crime rate, and the reason it could be equivocated to the 90s, is because of what was done as a crime. Now, in this article, it says that part of it was that police forces had to go and deal with these protests. However, it points out Baltimore was separate because Baltimore did not send as many officers to deal with the protests because they were largely peaceful. And a majority of the ones that were not peaceful were instigated by the police. There were absolutely people who rioted and destroyed things. Those were not the vast majority of the protests, and they did not need to be met with the overwhelming force that they were met with. The biggest problem with this is an incredibly dumb thing for him to have said. Now let's go up here because this is something I was commenting on too. So his argument is that 20,000 Americans were murdered in 2020. We also lost 400,000 people to the virus, but he wasn't worried about that. But only 6 in 10 murders are solved. Now, this is where the heart of the problem comes into. The problem is not that we have an under-incarceration problem, because there's no statistic that says that is the answer. The problem is we don't solve the problems that are actually happening. That's a 60% solvency rate. When it comes to rape, the police have somewhere between an 18 and a 30% solvency rate. The way to stop dealing with crime is not to put more into the police. We've been trying this for decades. The answer needs to be into the social structures of the communities. We have to funding schools. We have to fund after-school programs. We have to fund jobs. There has to be another outlet for people other than crime. And now I'm not saying this will eliminate all crime. You will not eliminate all crime. There's always going to be bad people who do crime. They commit murders. They rob people. Always. However, the economic reasons behind a lot of this are pushing a lot of this. So yes, I imagine crime will come down a lot as the economy comes up. Now, the issue with the murders probably has to do with the fact that Americans are also more heavily armed than at any point in history. We have more guns than people. We had, in 2019, we had more shootings than there were people. I think in 2020, we also had more shootings. No, not more shootings than there were people. More shootings than there were day in the year. And I think we had more than that in 2020. And we're probably on pace for that in 2021 because since the Atlanta shooting, there have been something like 21 plus mass shootings. There was one yesterday. So, look, gun control, economic instability, access to firearms, massive upheaval due to a civil rights thing that was, let's be clear, the civil rights protest that went on following the George Floyd death, the Black Lives Matter, was about police brutality and was overwhelmingly met by the police on camera with police brutality. And it's not to say that the police are useless. They absolutely have a point in our system. I'm not one of those people who believe we have to abolish the police completely. That's absurd. We need to change how we deal with crime. And the answer is not to put more people in cages because we do not have a justice system and a prison system that rehabilitates people. It's just punitive. We need rehabilitative justice. That's why other countries have different type of jail cells, and they don't have as the same type of recurrent crime that we do. Tom Cotton here is wrong. Tom Cotton here is just angering up the crowd. He's just trying to see where he can needle points to separate himself from the other people because he wants to run for president. This is a dangerous idea. We do not need more people incarcerated. That is just absurd. So, Tom Cotton's wrong. We are the highest. We incarcerate more people than anywhere else in the country or anywhere else in the world. And even if those numbers come down, the incarceration system that we currently have is not designed to help the people who are in it. And now you can't help everybody, but we have to figure out how to change both the way we do our policing to make sure that it is actually more effective in solving the crimes. Because in what he said, the answer was not to lock more people up. He said it. According to his own statistics, 6 in 10 murders are not solved. How do you solve that by locking up more people? And the answer, people could say, oh, we'll give the police more funding. They have record levels of funding. They keep getting bigger and bigger funding every year. These numbers don't change. We have to do something different. And the different thing is to focus on investments in these societies. It is not just to force money into the police. We have to change the way we think about things as a country. We have to change the way we think about prisons. We need to move from punitive justice to restorative justice so that people who end up in the jails are actually able to be rehabilitated so that they can make something of themselves. We also have to change how they get their rights back after that because it is very difficult for them to get rights. It's very difficult for them to find jobs. They're not allowed to vote. If you spend time after being a felon, you should have your rights restored. Okay? So, if you like this video and you want to get more access to the things I do, want to get more updates when I do things, slam that like button, hit that subscribe button, follow me on Twitter @FacesIdeas, and I will see you in the next one.